Is this thing on? This microphone actually doesn't work yet. I don't have the piece for it. It's missing a piece. But hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by Bronx. This is Tarot Talk. These are Tarot Tings, and I'm your host, Boogie Down Bronx. And we're here in the kitchen to have some kitchen table talk. I definitely wanted to do a different type of video today because I took a nap and this topic was on my mind because I keep seeing things about it, and I feel like that just means that I'm supposed to talk about it. So, I decided going into 2021 that I am going to be making more content of spirituality, healing, not just tarot or astrology. I want to talk more about personal experiences that I'm having. And I'm still kind of waking up because sometimes when I go to sleep and I wake up, I get downloads in my head. So I'm still trying to get my energy back up, but bear with me. Follow me, camera. So I want to basically talk about what people don't really talk about relationships, about healthy relationships. I have notes that I've written here on my phone. So what no one tells you about having a healthy relationship. Me right now, I am not in a relationship, but I am talking to someone, and I most likely will be in a relationship soon. But it's one of those things where every step of the way, I'm acknowledging where I'm not even healed yet, where I'm having issues, where my triggers are, how much work it actually is to have a healthy relationship. I don't know why that was bothering me. That wasn't even the right window. I tried to close anyway, but it's like cracked, so it kind of is like bothering me. But so I wanted to basically break down the things that no one talks about when it comes down to having a healthy relationship with someone after you've been in abusive or toxic or emotionally unstable relationships, how it's very, very hard. It's not one of those things where you can just be like, okay, yes, I want this for myself. Find it. You're good to go. There's a lot of unlearning. There's a lot of processing, a lot of just trying to like figure it out along the way. So let's talk. Let's discuss this. Okay. So the main point of this video is basically that after traumatic or abusive relationships, it's extremely hard to actually be in something healthy, no matter how badly you want to. You're probably like, well, why is that? Because if you have been in healthy relationships, or you have a pattern or history of being with toxic people or unavailable people, you're probably also agreeing with me that it's not easy to just wake up one day and be like, yes, I'm going to choose to be in a healthy relationship now. That's what I want, but it's not that simple. So, basically, you take the step to leave an unhealthy relationship, or you leave abusive people alone, or you notice that you have a pattern with people that aren't good for you, right? That is amazing. That's an amazing, amazing, amazing step. But that's literally only half the battle. And people don't talk about the fact that, everybody always talks about, okay, yes, leave these people. Walk away from these relationships that don't serve you. Walk away from people that don't treat you right. Great, we got that part down. So what do you do after that? Basically is what this video is supposed to cover. And that's what I've been thinking about, because nobody talks about that. Everybody just talks about and that's a great thing to, have it where you've accomplished that. It's a major goal. Okay, leaving the unhealthy relationship, walking away from people who aren't good for you. But we don't talk about why you were there in the first place. We don't talk about what you're supposed to do after that, how you can make sure that doesn't happen again, And that's why I say it's only half of the battle to walk away from people who aren't good for you, because there's still a part of you somewhere in there that needs to heal, because you would have never stayed in that situation if you were healed the way you needed to be. So you have to dive deeper. You have to dive deeper to understand why you stayed in those relationships, or what those experiences have caused within you. What stories have they created around your associations with love? It's changed something. Trauma literally changes our DNA. It changes the way we think. It changes the way we think about ourselves, the way we think about other people. So really what it boils down to is you have to completely scrap the old story about what you associate with relationships, what you think you know about being in something healthy, what you think you know about yourself with another person. You have to, you need a completely new approach to meeting people and to your boundaries. All right. So, just a couple points I want to touch on, and then I will elaborate on those points as well. But it's hard not to settle. Okay. That's the main thing when you get into, or you're looking for somebody else, or you're trying to make sure you do things the right way. In the past, you may have had a bad habit of settling for people who gave you the bare minimum. They gave you things that your parents did not give you, that you lacked, that you always craved. And because they met those basic criteria for things that are supposed to just be given anyway, but if you've never had them, they feel luxurious, they feel amazing, they feel like, I cannot let this go. Even if this person doesn't give me anything else, they've given me this one tiny thing that's super important to me. That could be anything from physical touch, attention, intimacy. It could be anything from being financially secure. It can be somebody who makes you feel beautiful. Okay. But there's things that they do to counteract that, things that you compromise because they have that thing. And that's something that you really wanted. That's something that you never had. So you may settle in other areas that are much, much more important to you because you've never had that before. So it's important to be aware of those things that you did not receive in childhood, or you didn't receive from your past relationships that you always crave from people. And you may hang on to those people that maybe give you a glimpse of what that might look like, or they give it to you a little bit and then they take it. They're very much like, hot and cold type of relationships where it's like you're always constantly on eggshells. But yeah, so like I said, it's hard not to settle, but you need to have non-negotiables, and you need to move from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset. What does that mean, Bronx? What does that mean, Bronxiana? That basically means that you're moving from a mindset of, I'll never find anything like this. I'll never find somebody like this. I can't let this person go. I can't leave. I'm scared to leave. To what I want does exist. There is somebody better. What I want does exist in some way, shape, or form. I have to trust myself that, I am settling to a degree. Like, yes, I may, it's called toxic positivity. And there's a book I will recommend in the description box that I feel everybody should read. Toxic positivity is when you discredit your trauma for, the positives of a situation. So you may say, well, I don't have exactly what I want, but I have enough, so I should be grateful. You are literally diminishing your own happiness in that way. Like, yes, it's important to be grateful, but that's why we have standards, because sometimes certain things are just not enough for us. Doesn't mean that anything's wrong with the person. Doesn't mean that, they can't give us certain things, but we need more. Okay. So that's toxic positivity. So look at those situations where you are discrediting your own happiness because you're trying to diminish your needs and your wants. All right. So moving to an abundant mindset looks like you're able to explore other options. You're able to know that, no, you may not have a person that is identical to the one you have now, but there could be something better out there for you, but you just have to explore it. All right. Getting out of, I didn't write this down, but I just thought of it. Getting out of that mindset, that you can change someone. When it comes down to dating, that's what I mean by you have to completely start in a new paradigm. You have to start fresh with people on your approach. Because I used to approach dating with the mindset of, I want to fix this person. I want to save this person. Very codependent mindset because, I felt like that was just my role. I'm a Virgo. We love to fix. We love to help. We love to heal. But that can actually be a detriment to somebody, is trying to fix their problems, trying to be responsible for their healing. It's a detriment to yourself. So, that's where I had to really realize that I was choosing people that were messed up, that weren't healed, and they were mirroring my wounds of needing to feel valid needing to feel useful, helpful, feeling like I needed to earn approval, feeling like I needed to earn love, instead of choosing people that were already at the same level of healing that I either wanted to be at, but I was making myself go backwards for those people, or they're already where I am. They already choose me. They already give me love. I don't have to earn anything. I don't have to chase them, right? Maybe you're the chaser or you like to be chased. Okay, either way it goes. But you have to choose people that you already are on the same level. And sometimes when you first meet somebody, you may think you're both on the same level. It may appear that way, but you'll start to see a shift. You know, after the first, usually few months, you can start to see some red flags. If you're not on the same level or somebody starts to act different, then it's like you have to make that choice. Once you speak up, like, hey, I've noticed this pattern. I don't like this or that. Somebody can't change. Somebody doesn't want to change. They can't commit to you. That is where you cut it off. No waiting around, seeing where it goes. No saying, okay, maybe I can fix this person. Maybe I can help them. Maybe they just need some compassion. Maybe they just need some time. You can give somebody time and not be with them. Okay, you can go live your life over here and you leave them right there. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. You have to get out of that mindset that you can't leave people where they are, that you're the only one that can save them, that you're the only one that can help them. No, absolutely not. If you want a healthy relationship, you have to be okay with leaving people where they're at, who are not ready for the things that you're ready for, or who are not willing to be where you want to go. All right. So moving right along. Let's discuss self-sabotage. I really wish this microphone was working. Let's discuss self-sabotage, shall we? Self-sabotage is one of the hardest parts, the thing that people don't talk about a lot when it comes down to being with somebody new. And this is something that I definitely struggle with anybody that I've talked to that's a new person in my life. I do tend to have thoughts of self-sabotage, have thoughts of, I need to push this person away. I feel unsafe. I feel scared. And it may not be anything that they're doing wrong. It's just all the fearful stories that I have created based on past relationships, based on similar scenarios, or scenarios that feel like they could be similar, but they may not be. So needing to learn to trust yourself again and your ability to say no. Because when you've been in a lot of abusive relationships, you've been with people who are manipulators, narcissists, emotionally abusive, you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your own thoughts. You don't even know where to think because you have somebody thinking for you. You have somebody telling you, no, you shouldn't think like that. So now you have to relearn how to think for yourself. You have to relearn what do I want? What do I like? Without worrying about, oh my God, I don't want to make them mad. Oh, I need to people please. I want them to like me. You have to have a different mindset about relationships and going into relationships, not wondering if people are going to like you. You start to think, are you going to like people? Do I like you? It don't matter if you like me, because I like me. You get to a place where you like you, you don't really care as much if somebody doesn't like you. You don't take it as personally when somebody's like, oh, I don't want a relationship, or, I'm not interested. Rejection, it doesn't feel as personal when you know that it's not always about you. It's usually not. Anytime that I felt I rejected somebody, well, yes, like there may be things that I'm observing about a relationship that I may feel like, okay, this feels like it's missing. Not necessarily has to do with them, or maybe I can't pinpoint what it is. But, I'm not thinking of it as it's a personal attack on somebody. So it's like, try not to think of it as a personal attack on you, even though I know how it feels. I do. Okay. But yeah, it's hard to trust yourself again after you've been with people who are emotionally manipulative, gaslight you, make you feel crazy for thinking thoughts that are yours. They want to control you. So you have to get into this habit of being able to identify people who have those traits that make you question your own thoughts, make you feel stupid, make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. Those are people you need to stay away from. So when it comes down to finally getting in a healthy relationship, back to saying where you can't settle, you have to be okay with rejecting people. Just like, you may get rejected or fear rejection, you have to be okay with rejecting people that aren't what you want, that aren't healthy. You notice those traits. You've been in enough relationships, or maybe you've been in enough friendships to notice when people are emotionally abusive, when people manipulate you, when people try to convince you of things that aren't your values, make you think other thoughts that are not yours. You have to be okay with rejecting them and saying, maybe I like this about you. Maybe I like that, but you have to get that scarcity mindset out your head that you'll never be able to find somebody with those same qualities that is actually good for you. Okay. Instead of being like, well, maybe I can help them. Maybe I could change their mind. No. That will always get you in a place of, why did I end up in this place again? Because you tried to change it. You tried to do the same thing you always do. Try to change their mind. You try to convince them. You try to show them how good of a person you are. That will make them love you. Try to give them things. That will never make anybody love you. Either somebody loves you for who you are, or they don't. You cannot earn love no matter what you think you can do. You can earn respect. You can earn trust and loyalty, but earning love is it should be like unconditional, a given. Okay. So next thing we have here, we got a lot of stuff on this. This is a long video. Deciphering intuition and fear. So intuition is an inner knowing. It comes from a place of stillness, peace, and just feeling neutral. And fear comes with a lot of anxiety, heightened emotions, a lot of loud thoughts, a lot of anxiety. And fear comes with a story. So fear comes with attaching a story to the things that you've been through, attaching pain to relationships, attaching stories to things, to people, saying, I can't trust anyone. Everybody's going to hurt me. Everybody's the same. When you have those types of stories, instead of shift the stories from everybody's going to do this all, this all or nothing mentality, get rid of it. Shift your mentality to people are people. Some people will hurt me, some people will not. I cannot control what other people do. All I can control is myself. Not everyone is all bad. Not everyone is all good. Have a very middle ground mindset. People that hurt me, I will not take it personally. It's something that they're dealing with. It's not about me, okay? So, because that's realistic. It's not realistic to say, everybody's never going to hurt me. I'm never going to get hurt. Everybody's good. It's not realistic to say that. It's not realistic to say everybody's bad. It is realistic to be in the middle, because there's good and there's bad. There's truth and there's lies. There's always both. So make sure you include both. If you are going to attach a story to something, focus on the truth. Okay. So your ego will hold on to stories to try to keep you safe, but it's really a false sense of security. What keeps you safe is your boundaries, not avoiding situations altogether. Okay, with boundaries, you can tell people what you like, what you don't like. You can move at your own pace. Without them, you're a wide open ocean for being swallowed alive and hurt. And not saying your boundaries will never prevent you from getting hurt. You can still get hurt, but you just have a better time at navigating what to do with that pain. So the next thing we have here, what people don't tell you about relationships, and when you're struggling in healthy relationships, you're struggling with letting go of people who were, emotionally not good to you, or you were abused, is when you get scared. When you're in something healthy, you know that this is different. You know that this is actually good for you. When you get nervous, you feel like you want to self-sabotage, you want to run away. Keep going. Don't run away. Don't react. Just sit with your feelings. Feel the uncomfortableness of it. Not every feeling, every thought that crosses your mind means something super significant. Some thoughts just pop in our heads. Some fears, some feelings just float by. This run through us real quick. And we, as humans, our ego, our brain is trying to figure out, well, what does that mean? Well, why did I think that? But why would I think that if that's not true? Not every feeling, every thought you have is true, okay? Not when it comes with all those heightened emotions. Usually an inner knowing and intuition comes in a very subtle way, a subtle moment. You don't feel as much fear attached to it. It's just like you just know, okay? So Yeah, every feeling doesn't need a reaction. Just because you're scared doesn't mean you need to do something about it right then and there. If you're not in any real danger, you don't need to just jump up and just create some type of problem or create some type of argument. Just sit with it. Anxiety can only go up so far until it has to come back down. Wait until you come back down to know how you really feel, what you want to do with those feelings. All right, next we have focus on the here and now. Listen to your body moment to moment. People, we try to get ahead of pain. We try to get ahead of abandonment, rejection. We think that if we leave people before they leave us, it will prevent us from, feeling this pain. And it can prevent us from feeling pain, but it'll also prevent us from feeling pleasure. It'll prevent us from being intimate. It'll prevent us from actually having the true fulfillment in a relationship that we seek, because we're too worried and busy worrying about, I need to be 5 steps ahead of this person. I need to be 10 steps ahead. So you never actually get to enjoy the relationship. You never can enjoy the moment. And like I said, most people that do that do struggle with their boundaries, because it's like they're just trying to avoid it altogether instead of being able to trust themselves that they can communicate when something is wrong, when something bothers them, when they have a problem, when they have an issue. All right. But if you focus on the here and now, you focus on being in the moment as much as possible, sitting with your emotions, not letting them make you react strongly or harshly, waiting for the anxiety wave to go up and then to come back down, you will find that it does get easier. Because that's my biggest problem, is always feeling like I need to react when I'm triggered, like I need to do something. That comes from wounds from past relationships where you felt unsafe, or in childhood where you felt unsafe. You felt like you had to do something right then and there to keep you safe. You had to protect yourself. Your body goes into fight or flight mode. You don't always need to do something unless you are in true danger physically. Just sit there. Sit. Okay. Next thing you have is check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how are you feeling? Why do you think you might feel like this? Why do you feel afraid? Talk with your person, whoever it is you're dealing with, whenever you do get to that place, because most of the triggers, most of the hard work comes when you are not when you're single. When you're single, you may feel fine, you may feel light as feather, you may feel like you don't have no trauma. But when you get into that talking stage, that dating, that relationship, everything comes back up and you feel like, wow, who am I? Did I even do any work? Because the real work isn't when you're single. That's easy. There's nobody to trigger you, until you get into that other energy and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I had all these wounds. So you should talk to your person. If you're dealing with somebody who doesn't receive it, who's not receptive, then you need to reconsider who you're dating. Okay? Simple as that. There's certain things for me that I realize are not negotiable anymore, and my feelings are not up for debate. They're not to be accused of, they're not meant to be diminished. They're not meant to be, some people do get defensive, but my feelings are my feelings. I believe everybody's feelings are their feelings. You cannot tell me how to feel. You might not agree or understand, but you can't say that my feelings are wrong. So that's how you should approach people now. So when you tell people your feelings, you don't get a response you like, cool. Not talking about my feelings to you anymore. Not going to deal with you anymore. That's not up for debate. That shouldn't be a negotiable thing for anybody, not just for me. Next, don't create red flags that aren't there. This comes back to your trauma, your triggers, your stories that you tell yourself about past relationships to your present relationships. Your past is not your present. You're doing things differently now. You have a situation that feels similar to what you dealt with your cheating ex. Somebody's acting different towards you. Somebody's being a little bit distant. Don't go to the place of, oh, I'm gonna cut them off because they're being shady. Scorpios, Virgos, sometimes Gemini. But that suspicious, very paranoid place. Okay, use your words. Open up. It's hard, but you have to use your words. Be like, you have to ask questions. This is the only way that you can unlearn those triggering body responses, those reactions that you have to people switching up their switching up their behaviors. Okay, you may be very hypervigilant. That is a trauma response. I'm very hypervigilant. I can pick up on any slight change in a tone of voice, in a head nod, in a blink in anything because I had to do that when I was younger to protect myself. I had to be very aware of my surroundings to make sure that I stayed safe. So you may have developed that where you're very hypervigilant. You notice the small changes in somebody's voice and it scares you. You may have associations with that. That means that somebody doesn't like you. It means that somebody's mad at you. It means that somebody's gonna leave you. Just ask. Sometimes it's not even about you. Some people have bad days, okay? If somebody has they're usually pretty consistent and then they act different one day, it doesn't mean that it's about you. Of course, like if you start to notice this getting regular, you can talk about that and see what they say. And then it's like you take it every step of the way. Instead of trying to be ahead of this person and say, well, they're gonna leave me, let me leave them. Just slow down, ask a question, be like, hey, I noticed this change in your behavior. Are you okay? I noticed this, that, and third. Are you all right? You want to talk about it? And then you may be like feeling a lot better, or you can talk about, hey, this triggers me when people switch up like that, or when I don't hear from you. It does make me feel a little nervous because I've had issues in the past where somebody has, did something along those lines and it was something different. So if they get defensive about that, you may not be dealing with a person who's mature enough for you. It is what it is. All right. Just giving y'all a chance to not deal with the things that I've dealt with. Okay. Next, know your insecurities and notice when you are projecting. So again, this comes down to the stories that we have for our past relationships, how we put them on our future relationships. Okay. Notice when you're projecting your insecurities. If you know that you've been with people who are emotionally abusive, they tear down your self-esteem, they tore you down, they made you feel ugly, they made you feel not beautiful. Somebody, you have to boost yourself up and not expect somebody else to always give that to you in your next relationship. So the normal things that people may do, like talking to their friends or spending time with their family, talking to strangers, may really, really trigger you. And you may be projecting some of that anger onto that person. And they're like, hey, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. If they're not out here flirting in your face, that's a different thing. But just be mindful of where you might be insecure and where you need to really work on that with yourself before you project it onto somebody else. All right, the last things, and this is probably like really the most important things for relationships. We are creatures of habit. We are creatures of habit, okay? So if you are used to chaos in the household when you were younger, you're used to an emotionally turbulent childhood and emotionally rocky relationships growing up. You've had mostly, whether this is your parents, romantic, whatever, you are going to mimic that behavior with your romantic relationships moving forward. You have to be very, very self-aware. You have to be very conscious of this because we are creatures of habit. So chaos, things that feel emotionally unstable, things where you have to always be fighting, things where you always have to be arguing, you have to be up, down, this emotional roller coaster, that feels comfortable for you. That's the part that you're going to have to fight against, not the safe, calm, easy, harmonious stuff. That's what you want because your conscious brain is ready. Your conscious brain knows that it wants to be. That's what I want. I want that healthy, relaxing, where I don't have to be on eggshells. I don't have to be on edge. I could be calm. But your subconscious, the things that you've learned in your subconscious mind, they're always lingering. You have to be very aware of when you look for those patterns that mimic the relationship you had with your parents, that mimic your household when you were younger, that were very chaotic, violent, abusive, whatever. And so you're going to always subconsciously choose people who have this similar dynamic or this similar feeling of is very emotionally like this, back and forth, up and down type of thing, very much highs and lows because it creates this feeling of a rush, and that's what love felt like. And maybe it was very cold when you were younger, and when it was really on, it was hot. You really like that emotion, but that's not healthy. Okay, so you have to unlearn all of that. You have to choose people that do not give you that dynamic. It is very tempting. It's going to be very tempting for you to be like, try to create some type of chaos because you're going to start to feel uncomfortable. This is the part that nobody talks about. You're going to start to feel uncomfortable because it's going to be too quiet for you. It's going to be very calm. It's going to be peaceful. It's going to be relaxing. You're going to be like, wow, this is really nice. I'm enjoying this. I feel safe. Your conscious brain is like, this is what we wanted, right? And your subconscious is like, well, I don't feel right. I feel a little bit too safe and calm. So I'm going to cause a problem. You have to fight that urge. You have to fight. And that's one of my problems as well. I have to fight that urge because that is something that an inner child, something that you feel the need to fight. You feel the need. That's the fight or flight. You know, before we were mostly talking about flight. Now we're talking about fight, chaos. That's what you've always done to be heard. You felt like you had to scream. You had to cause a scene. You had to really get up in somebody's face. You had to make noise. And you don't have to do that. You really do not have to do that. Okay, so that's something you have to unlearn. You have to give your inner child, what is it asking for? What is your emotional needs? What does it need? Okay, it needs something. It needs to be heard. It needs to feel like I need reassurance that you're not going to ignore me, that I'm still being heard. Even though it's quiet, I need to know that there's still something happening where I'm still being accepted, that I'm still being acknowledged. You know, you may feel a little bit somewhere inside of you that when things are too quiet, or when there was, you know, if you deal in a household that it was a lot of like silent treatment, things being still and quiet may feel very, very uncomfortable for you. But again, doesn't mean that anything bad is happening. Okay, so you don't have to self-sabotage and create chaos before the chaos can come naturally or like a problem can come up naturally. All right, so you being in something healthy and calm is actually you being out of your comfort zone. If you're used to chaos, you're going to want to go back to chaos because that's what's comfortable. Even though you, with all your heart and soul, may want a healthy relationship, you look at these people out there, you're like, wow, does that actually exist for me? Yes, it does. But it starts with who you choose before you get in a relationship. You can't expect to get in a relationship and everything magically fall into place with people who aren't capable of loving you already the way that you need to be loved, that aren't willing to change, that aren't willing to acknowledge where they're being emotionally abusive, narcissistic, manipulative. You need to stop just dealing with people like that altogether. And again, like I said, you got to reject some people. It's better to reject people than be with the wrong person, because eventually you will find the right person. So last one is believing what you want exists. It's the very last point, for real, for real. Believing what you want exists. This was a hard one for me because, you know, I'm an earth sign. I don't always believe things exist for me until I see it. So the fact that I feel like I've actually found what I want is a mind-blowing case for me. Like, I still am in shock and disbelief that like I haven't had to fight for it in a way that feels so draining. I haven't had to, like, the only thing that I really had to do is deal with all the things that I'm telling you guys now, which is why I'm trying to help somebody out there. But, you know, I did everything according to the plan. I checked to make sure this person was on my level, mentally, emotionally, ready to, you know, we're both healing ourselves. We're both in a place where we're not trying to control each other. We're not trying to hurt each other. We're not trying to be one step ahead of each other. We're just trying to be here and love each other. And I don't, you know, there's no argument about whose feelings are right, who's trying to be up here, who's trying to be whatever. It's very balanced, very equal. I'm not trying to prove anything. I went into this saying, either somebody likes me or they don't. If they don't like me, somebody else will like me. That's just how it is. I don't have to earn nobody's approval. I don't have to try to chase nobody. So it does exist. And I know it's hard to believe, especially if you've been in a place where you're like, wow, I don't see it happening for me. Or I don't see anybody who could possibly meet my standards. You have to make sure you're putting yourself out there as well. You can't just be in your room all day, locked away, not trying to put yourself out there. I had to put myself out there. But, you know, it's still hard for me because I'm a public figure, I guess. And I don't know who to trust always, who wants, you know, what from me. But luckily I dealt with somebody that didn't know who I was from a can of paint. So it is what it is. So for you it may be different, but yeah, what you want does exist. write out a list of what it is. It'll make it, it'll be frustrating if you have to keep rejecting people, obviously, that don't have things that you know you need. But, you know, it'll help you narrow it down, because it's not going to be perfect. Like, you know, you don't have to be like, have super high standards for who you want. There's going to be some little, you know, minor things that might be missing. Like, you know, everybody has flaws, but I'm talking about the big stuff that make a healthy relationship. Okay. So that's what I got for you guys. That was a very long reading, but thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that this could help somebody out there know how to date one-on-one. You know, I never do content like this, but I love readings. I love Libra Venus. I'm all for it. But healthy love where you don't gotta change yourself or try to change anybody. So thank you, guys. If this reading resonated for you, let me know down in the comments. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. I want to hear it all. All right. Bye, y'all.
Patience, get back in the way of happiness, babe. Working overtime, girl, you know you looking fine.